Hello and welcome to another edition of Sun Dragon Tips and Tricks. I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in downtown Brevard, North Carolina, filming from my house today, as always on a Monday. And I thought we would talk about drop stitches today. So I'm working on the Stormy Sky Shawl, which has a drop stitch row in it every 4 sections. And drop stitches are really fun. Now there's 2 things people are usually talking about when they mention drop stitches. One is where you knit the whole thing and you drop stitches all the way down to the bottom and pick them back up again in a different order. That is not what we're talking about today. That is both terrifying and amazing, and that's for another video. This is about drop stitches that are created by doing yarn overs on one row and dropping them off the needle on the way back. So you can get 2 effects with this. You can get a straight effect like I'm doing, or you can get a wave. We are only going to address the straight stitches today. If you want to see about the wave, there's a drop stitch scarf unraveler that's fantastic for that. Check it out. Ask me if you want a video on that specifically. But for now, let's get to it. So here we go with the pictures and explanations. We're focusing on knitting today. And the yarn over drop stitch technique, rather than dropping your stitches way far down. This is just on with 2 rows. We're yarning over on one row, we're dropping them on the next. I'll explain that in a second. You can create a long symmetrical row with the same amount of yarn overs in every row. That will just look super long like this. You can create a wave by increasing and decreasing your yarn overs. The abbreviation is YO. So we yarn over once, twice, 3 times, twice, once, and repeat. You end up getting an oscillation or a wave. We're going to focus on the simple one today. So here's how we do it. On your first row, you're going to yarn over between each stitch a certain number of times. The same number of times. So in our example, we're going to yarn over twice, knit 1, yarn over twice, knit 1. That's the repeat. Yarn over twice, knit 1. The second row on the way back, you're going to knit or purl. You choose. It gives you different effects. I'm going to keep things today to just knitting, no purling. But you only want to knit the knit 1 of the previous row and drop the yarn overs. Just kick them off the needle. That's the drop stitch. The yarn overs get dropped. And how you know what you knit and what you drop, that's what we're going to look at in the pictures. So here are my example pictures. This is what your knitting will look like before you start. So this is the first row. And what you're going to, I've knit 1. And now I need to do my yarn overs. Yarn over twice. I'm going to take the working yarn. It's going to come over and between the needles. Whenever I do a yarn over between knit stitches, I always come between the needles first, right here. And we're going to go over this needle once and over it twice. Not quite this close to the tip, but for purposes of this drawing, that's what we're going to do. So let's color code this like we always do, so that way you can see what's going on in the next picture. I'll make this first stitch here green, orange, not green. Let's make the next stitch here green, since I've already mentioned that word. The working yarn is blue, so we can see what happens with it next for that yarn over. And if we need to, we can color code this one and the last guy, they are not really involved in what we're doing. And I'm just going to write what we're doing over here, the yarn over, come between the needles to front, and then over your right hand needle. And yarning over twice means coming here, wrapping around, and doing it again. When you do that, here's what it will look like. So let's color code this. We have our orange stitch. The blue working yarn has created these two yarn overs, so I'm going to make them the same color. By knitting the green stitch, it's down here. But let's make the stitch above it that was created just a different shade of green so we can kind of keep track of it, right? And then these two stitches are still hanging out here. Now to finish my row, I would repeat this process all the way across. So I would have stitches with two. Notice that the yarn overs, they slant. The yarn overs slant. The knit stitches are up and straight up and down. I'll stick it over here, but those knit stitches are straight, the yarn over slant. That's our first indicator of what we want to do when we're doing our reverse row. So let's take a look. I got my little dotted line here. On the way back, let's reverse those colors. You'll see it in the end shot. The first one, when we flip this around, the first one we come to is going to be our green stitch. I know I've taken away the rest of the row. I just want to focus on this. There's our green stitch. Here are our yarn overs. And here's the orange guy back here. So I'm only going to draw what's going to happen to these stitches. This guy we're going to knit. And we know we're going to knit him because he's attached. He's choked off. He's fastened to the needle. And to the work. I like to describe it as right there attaches him to the work that's underneath it. So is this one over here. So we're going to knit him because he's fastened. These yarn overs they're open underneath. The yarn overs you're going to drop right off your needle. So your right hand needle is going to come in, going to knit this one, drop these off the needle, knit this one. What's going to happen is these yarn overs are going to stretch out. It'll look and feel funny. Trust your gut. This works. So this yarn over is actually helping produce the length on both of the stitches here and here. Trust me, it works. It feels weird while you're doing it, and then it looks really cool afterwards. Let's try it with real yarn. Okay. Here is my sample. I already have some drop stitches there. Look how crazy they look, right? So on the first row, we get some slack going here. We're just gonna knit and yarn over twice. Remember, yarning over is bringing yarn between the needles and up and over. 1, between the needles, up and over. 2. I should mention I'm doing English style knitting. It's a little different if you're continental. Knit, yarn over, between and up and over, between and up and over. Knit. If you want to think about it, the other way you can think about it is you're winding counterclockwise around this needle. So 1, 2. Whoop. Knit. 1, 2. Knit. Between 1, 2. Knit. 1, 2. Knit. 1, 2. Knit. 1, 2. Knit. 1, 2. And knit the last one. Now if we take a look, there's a lot jammed onto this needle. Don't worry about stitch count on this row. If you try to count every loop, you'll go crazy. But see how there's a hole here. These aren't attached. So let's turn around and do the return row. That can be scary, but it's fine. You're always starting with a knit one. You're never kicking off this very first one. That's an anchor. Again, I'm going to pull a little more yarn up here. That's an anchor. Now take a look. These two, they're slanted and they aren't attached to anything. So I'm going to just kick them off. This, he's attached. Look, he's fastened in on both sides. So I'm going to knit him. Slide things up. He might be attached over here, but this loop is not attached on both sides. He's only attached on one, so he's a yarn over. I'm going to pull him till he releases. This stitch is attached on both sides. He's fastened in. He's choked off and tight against the needle. So I'm going to knit him. And he may feel loose. The yarn overs are going to start expanding this. That's okay. Again, push this up and see he's not attached, so I'm going to kick him off. You can also count. If I knit 1, I can kick off 1, 2, and I should be fine. Knit 1, kick off 1, 2. Check it every once in a while if you need to see if you got off. This is fastened on both sides, so he's a knit stitch. These guys are not, only on one side. Maybe kick them off. Knit, kick them off. Knit. It's okay if it feels loose and crazy. Look, that'll look weird. You haven't done anything wrong. Kick off these yarn overs. He's fastened. Knit, yarn over. I got one left. I'm going to knit him. So right now, this looks kind of crazy and maybe wrong, but if you pull on it and let it settle, there are those drop stitches. I had a couple rows of knit in between. Got these long, loopy, really cool looking stitches, and I haven't lost anything. So thanks for joining us. I'm talking about the basics of a straight drop stitch. Remember, this was just yarning over twice between each stitch. More the oscillating wave ones. We could talk about that another time if you want. Let me know in the comments. For now, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Ask questions in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want a lesson with me, I do virtual lessons over Zoom. I do lessons outside my shop. It's getting chillier now. We're booked through middle of November. We're still figuring out indoor plans. We're open to all suggestions, but we're really trying to keep traffic flow down inside the shop until we can figure out better ventilation, all that craziness. So I hope you enjoyed this. And as always, stay safe, and may your crafting be filled with joy and confidence. Bye-bye now. Is this your new favorite spot? Right behind where I film in the should have been unpacked maybe a year and a half ago box. Yeah. Hi. Hello. You stay comfy, cozy. I'm gonna go edit my video.